We got Phuc Ly today joining us. Phuc, whenever you're ready, you can hop in. How are you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me, Micah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So we usually start these with just some background about yourself, and you can kind of take it whatever direction you like. Definitely want to cover you and level up quest. I would say bare minimum, but you can take it any
Okay.
direction you like.
Okay, yeah. So a little bit about me, I guess I'll start with that. Started a firm 20 years ago, grew it to about 17 people, and then I sold my firm 3 years ago. So now what I'm doing, I took a year off, traveled the world with my wife, and then she asked me what I wanted to do after I sold the firm because the firm was my life back then. So it's like, what do you do now after you sold your baby off? So I was like, okay, I don't know what I want to do yet. She's like, well, you really like training your employees, and I had a lot of employees, like 16 employees, 17 employees, um, and she was like, why don't you do something with training with other tax professionals? And I was like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. So it started off as me just making e-courses, and I was just making videos of like how to explain taxes. And then it got into people wanting to talk to me one-on-one as more mentorship. So then I started doing that, and then it created a whole like community around that with more people wanting to be part of the community and bounce ideas off of each other, learn how to not just prepare tax returns, but also add tax strategies to to their current offerings. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at right now, just pretty much helping other tax professionals that are beginner, intermediate, getting them to learn how to communicate with clients properly and add tax strategies to their services, but also how to grow their firm, make their firm run more efficiently as well. And everything that I'm teaching with my community is pretty much things that I've done in my firm that worked for me. So I'm just pretty much sharing the knowledge and experience, what worked, what didn't work, because I didn't have a mentor when I did all this when I first started off. So, seeing what Micah's doing with TaxCentric definitely would have helped me a lot if when I first started, because I failed my EA test like 4 or 5 times. So definitely having someone like Micah by your side to teach you would definitely be good. So yeah, so I didn't have a mentor, so pretty much wanting to be able to share that because I feel like in accounting communities it's very gatekeepish. Like a lot of people don't really talk much about how to grow a firm, even down to like their pricing. They don't want to share that. So I'm trying to change all that. There's so many clients out there that you don't really need to feel like you have to keep secrets or anything like that. And all the information is out there. It's just how you communicate with clients. That's probably the more important thing.
Yeah, that was really great. So how long did you have the firm before you sold it? And how many
I
clients did you have about?
17, or I had a firm for 17 years. So
Wow.
yes, 17 years. And then I had, let's see, about 1,000 individual clients and maybe a little bit under 1,000 business clients, I think, too.
Are you comfortable sharing the transaction piece?
We use the brokerage. So if you talk about transaction fees, they charge like 10% of that.
Wow. Is that's standard, I take it.
That is standard. 10% of the selling cost or the sell cost is usually the standard.
Did
Um,
you have any strategies to mitigate the tax piece, or was it just
it was
long-term
all
capital
long-term
gain?
capital gain, so that's the most we could do anyway. So
Right. No basis
yeah, no
or very
basis.
little. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty very little basis. Yeah, so pretty much it was all long-term capital gains. One thing that we did do it on an installment sale, so we were paid out over the course of 4 years, I think. So the last payout is happening. I think we just received the last payout. So yeah,
That's
so
great. Was that
yeah.
for tax reasons?
It's one. So when you sell a business, you have two options. You could finance it yourself and then collect the interest on that, um, or they could just get like an SBA loan or something like that and just buy it from you. We did have a few offers from other people who did SBA loans too. Now the problem with that, we had to go with the firm that we felt like was capable of taking on the size and the level that we were at, because we had people that are just one person come in trying to buy a $2 million firm, which is I'm just like, how are you going to manage this? That's going to be impossible for you, right? Um, so we decided not to go with them, and they had an SBA loan, so we could have gotten pretty much the whole funding up front, but we just were figuring out, okay, what's best for the clients as well. So we needed to pick a firm that we knew that could handle that amount of clients.
That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, you don't want to leave them hanging, so that's very
Yeah.
that's commendable. A lot of practitioners don't seem to care that much. Certainly in the industry, the very large firms, it's a lot of cashing out at the moment and consolidation. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things that I learned is that, a lot of these equity companies are coming in and buying firms, but they want the old owner to stay on for like 3, maybe even 5 years, just, for the
yeah,
transition or just to manage it. And I don't know if, for me personally, if I sold the business, I'm pretty much checked out. Like I'm just like, okay, this is your baby now, you take care of it. Um, and I stayed on for a little bit under a year to help with the transition. But because we had a big part of my firm was processes and systems and hiring good people. So they were able to take on the client load pretty easily and follow, they followed our process and system and kept everything the same. So the transition for me to get out of there was actually pretty easy, which allowed me to do this next
yeah,
thing a lot faster.
that's really good. I've seen people get stuck in that transition period for a long, long
Hmm.
time,
Yeah.
because they rely on them a lot. Was it structured as like a receivable, or is it just cash payments? And did the employee stay on?
Employees stayed on. There were some like I guess negotiation things like key employees if they left and they would lower the cost. So we had two key employees leave and that lowered the overall it lowered it by like 100,000 or something like that.
Okay,
And then yeah, and but most of the other all the other employees stayed.
that's great. Are you still in touch with anyone over there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I still keep in touch with the people there. Actually, my sister is still there.
Oh, that's
So
great.
she was part of the firm originally, and she was a big part of getting it transitioned over.
She didn't
So
want
now
to
she's
take
like
over.
management. She didn't want to take over. I don't think that's, and I think it was probably too big for her just to take over. She would probably have
Sure.
had to partner up with someone, but I think she's happy with what they're doing right now because they put her in management role. And she's able to pretty much just take over, say, my role and do everything too.
That's great. What was it like handing over your baby? I imagine it's not easy.
It was hard 'cause 17 years, right, of building it up. But I just felt like it was time, that when I started my firm, I had no intentions of doing anything with it because I had no experience in accounting, no experience in taxes. I graduated college with a political science degree. I was supposed to go to law school, but my grades weren't good enough. So then I was like, what do I do now? And after college, I was unemployed for a year and it kind of fell upon our lap. So my girlfriend at the time, she was working at the accounting firm and he wanted to retire. So he offered it to her, saying, hey, do you want to take over our practice? So she brought me on to do it because I had nothing else going on in my life. So she's like, okay, what do you got to lose? So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna learn taxes and how to run a business at the age of 25.
That's incredible. So
Yeah,
you were bouncing around and then you just got this opportunity. You had zero background, zero
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Wow.
and just did it. Just studied for the EA exam for like 2 years, failed so many times. But once I got my EA license, my confidence level like just went up. It was like the best thing. That actually exponentially helped my career so much better because a lot of it is just confidence. And I didn't
Totally.
have confidence before the EA license. But once I got the EA license, I think I spoke differently. I felt like people, I don't know, respected me, I guess, more, like believed in what I was saying. Because I was young. I was like 20, I think I was like 26 or 27 when I got my EA license. And I looked like a little kid that just was still in high school. So no one really wanted to trust what I was saying. They didn't, who's this little young kid coming in telling me about taxes, especially coming from the previous owner who was an older guy with years of experience. And, they always relied on him for tax advice. Now I come in and there's like, who's this kid? Right. So definitely had to build that up. But what's funny is that one of the main reasons why I got my EA license was because in California, you're supposed to get like something called a C-Tech license. It's like a California license. And it's only valid for California. It's very basic. And I one of my clients, they got an IRS letter, and back then, before I had the EA, I tried to represent clients, but you can't really get a POA on file because you're not an EA. I had to do the state information one. The client got an audit letter, and I tried to help them, and I went to the IRS office that's local to me. And back then they had like windows, like the old school windows for people, for the IRS agents there. And I went to talk to the IRS agent at the window, and then I showed him the signed paper and trying to explain everything. And then he just looks at me. He's like, "Oh, you're not an EA?" I was like, "No." And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And he started like really talking down on me. And from that moment, I was like, "F him. I'm gonna get my EA, and then you're gonna have to talk to me." Yeah. So that was my main motivator to get my EA.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I found out not too long ago that most practitioners are not licensed, even with a annual filing season or whatever they call
Yeah.
it, AFSP.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite something, and I always find that the like differences in the market, there are people who are trying to do everything exactly according to code, and then there are is basically half the industry going rogue.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think it's probably more than half of the people that don't really have a EA license or any kind of, because on the federal level, they don't really require it. They tried to do it, I think, but then I guess a lot of people petitioned against it, so then they had to
yeah,
pull it back. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think that would have been good if there were more some kind of license requirement for it. I think it would weed out a lot of those really bad tax preparers that's just trying to
agreed.
get maximum refund. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of funky tools out there. I know when I went to like a Drake conference, there's all these bank products and stuff and revenue
Mhm.
shares, which are fine sometimes, but they can get pretty shady pretty quick, just in terms of practices.
Yeah. Yeah, and someone came to me recently wanting to learn from the membership, or wanting to join the membership. And she was saying she's part of another group where I guess they're using that group's EFIN number to file, and they do some kind of revenue share of like 30%, 70%. But she's not the one signing the return. She's the one finding all the clients. I guess she's preparing it on their tax software, but ultimately some other person is filing it. So I think I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it
Yeah,
doesn't sound like
I
you're.
explored one of those situations. Somebody asked me to file under my EFIN,
Mhm,
um, because I forget what you need to get an EFIN, but I think you need to have something like an EA or something similar. I
mhm.
forget exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting situations out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and I think they market it as like you're own your own business and things like that. But it's I don't know. I feel like the one I talked to, I think she was being taken advantage of. She doesn't
right.
really have a license. They just kind of told her, find your own clients. All you have to do is input the data. We'll review it and then we'll file it for you. And then once they pay, we'll give you 30% or 70% or whatever it was.
That makes sense. And how did
Yeah.
the EA come onto your radar?
So what?
How did the EA come onto your radar? So many people I speak to have no idea what it is.
So when I started I had to get the C-Tech license, and I think when you get your California license, they kind of talk like the next level is the EA, and then after
Oh,
that's the
very cool.
CPA if you want to go over that. So
That's a good
I always
feeder
heard
at
about
least.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it was a good feeder because they always market it as the C-Tech is kind of like the lowest rung if you do want to get into taxes. That's like if you just want to do basic taxes. And I don't want to knock on like H&R Block, but that's where most of your H&R Block
sure.
employees are, is on the C-Tech level. And
I knock an
then
H&R Block, so don't worry.
yeah, so then and I actually took the CTEC course through H&R Block. They're the one that trained me to do it. And then they always said like, okay, the next level after that is EA if you wanted to go that route, but you don't have to. But ever since that whole IRS auditor talking down on me, I was like, I'm just getting it.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, it's just nice to have some credentials, and the exams are very thorough and very solid. Like, did you find through the experience of taking the exams, like you were learning a lot instead of just like getting a credential?
You know, I think the way I did it, it was just a book. You know, I said I spent 4 hours a day studying the EA books. So, and it was just more, I just needed to get it. I just needed a pass.
Yeah, I get
You
that.
know, and it really was just trying to just get the license. Like I wasn't really learn. I don't think if I were to take, I told myself if for some reason I forgot to renew my EA license and they make me retake the test, I just said, I forget it. I don't want to do it again. I'm not going to do that again.
I
So,
think
so
it would you should take a practice exam.
yeah.
I could
I
give you a
see. That's
surgeon
the
one.
thing. I don't even know
Uh,
if I would pass. Kind of like if I had to take
I
a
think you would
driver's license
pass.
test again, I don't think I would
Driver's
pass.
license test, I would definitely fail. Firstly, my driver's license test was like your EA exam experience. I failed 4 times my driver's license experience. Um, yeah, to be 16 again. Now I could drive well, I think. Depends who you ask. Yeah, that's a very classic experience. That was me with a lot of my exams. CFP particularly, because all this insurance stuff, which I had
Hmm.
to learn like all the different types of home insurance, and I'll never remember that again. So much of learning is crash coursing and then
Yeah.
getting past the hurdle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we're definitely trying to do a more well-rounded. I know you are too. But also with the EA, I thought it was like when I took it, so I didn't study so much, and I think you would in a sense, enjoy taking a practice exam because I think you would see how well you do. It
Hmm.
takes forever though. And without the incentive, you're not going to
Yeah.
want to spend 2+ hours doing that
Yeah.
necessarily. But I was able to take it with, um, and I might be in a different situation at that time, but I took it with like only looking over the IRS, like kind of 20 questions, a few hours of studying, because it really is so much of like what I do. A lot of it's because I'm always kind of getting down to the root of like where things come from. In
Hmm.
firms, I guess you never really had the big firm experience, right?
I never had a big firm experience. Yeah, no experience with taxes
In a sense, that's good.
whatsoever. Yeah.
Uh,
And and for anyone else out there, like for me in high school, I was like a 2.5 GPA student. I never did well in school. School was never a thing for me. So studying for the EA exam was such a hard task to stay focused and doing all that. I hear people, they don't even study, they just take it and they pass. I'm just like, you're so lucky. How are you able to do that? Like I can't do that.
yeah.
And I think for me, what led to me being, I guess, quote unquote, successful is it's not the knowledge part, but just talking to clients um, and I had to understand taxes in a way where I had to break it down for myself to understand it. Because if you read publications and even textbooks about taxes, it's very dry, it's very boring. Um, so I had to do it in a way that allowed me to understand it better. So I used a lot of visuals. I drew it out more. Um, and that's how I did it when it came to trying to remember it all. But that's also how I communicate with clients. And I think that's the most important part when it comes to just taxes in general, is how we communicate taxes to clients in a way where they understand it. Because if you're going to talk like an IRS publication, then you're gonna see them, their eyes glaze over. They're not gonna understand what you're saying, right? And
Totally.
that ruins the relationship with the client. So if the client could say, "Oh, I understand what you just said," then that's actually a really good relationship that you're building with the client. And that's how I built my
Totally.
relationship. So it wasn't really about knowledge. I just got the knowledge over time as I kept on doing it more, and as I kept on explaining more taxes to clients, I was able to explain it confidently. And one of the things that I try to train on with my community is if you're pretty much able to teach it, then that shows that you understand it, right? So there's like a saying like to show that you fully understand something means that you should be able to teach it to someone, right? And there's another
Right.
saying where like if you could explain it to someone like they're 5 years old, then you definitely understand what you're doing, right? So
Absolutely. And
yeah,
I shared with the group, I met a professor of economics from the University of Florida at the Passover Seder, and she has each member of her class, each student gives a class basically. So we're gonna do that this go around.
that's good. That's
Yes,
good. And,
and I said that exact thing that teaching I found always the best way to learn is to teach.
mhm.
And yeah, talking to clients and explaining things
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And just getting out of your comfort zone. I know like when you hear about oh, you got to give a presentation in front of people, it's pretty nerve-wracking. But it's actually talking to clients is a lot easier. Like like Rosie was the one that got me to do this guest speaker thing for even though I already knew you from before. She convinced me to join. But seeing what Rosie's doing on her social media and talking about taxes like that, she is doing an awesome job. She's doing so well with that. The way she explains it is really good. Um, and the thing is, talking in front of a camera is way harder than talking to a client. So if you're able to talk into a camera and speak like how Rosie's doing it, talking to a client is so much easier. And there's like a Kobe Bryant saying where practice should be harder than the actual game because, when it's time to hit that game-winning shot, then it should be easy because practice was so much harder already.
That's great. He must be a philosopher because there's another line I've heard, quote, at least attributed to him, that I forget exactly how it goes. It's something along the lines of like, well, why are you doing all these really basic drills? And he says, that's like you're Kobe Bryant. Why are you doing these basic drills?
Hmm.
And he's saying that's why I am Kobe Bryant because I obsess over the fundamentals
Yeah,
nonstop.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's awesome. And I told Rosie the same that I can't, that's a hurdle that I've yet to cross.
Hmm.
Every hurdle is the same essentially, which is learn by doing and get through it. And then
Exactly.
eventually it becomes second nature. But yeah, but the just camera is a very hard one for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And for some reason, you want to be perfect on camera. But then that repetition that you're doing on camera, it just sets you up for when you need to talk to a client, it's so much easier.
Totally. I found
Yeah.
even with Loom at first it was very uncomfortable, but I got
Hmm.
into it and that was key, not going for perfection.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Releasing
Loom's a
perfection.
great tool to use to practice on. And the thing is, the way you want to see it is like you don't need to post it. If you don't think it's good, just don't post it. But at least you got the reps in and you got the practice in. And once you review it and it makes you cringy, then you know, okay, what part made you cringy, and you could try to fix that or improve upon that, right? And the other thing I've been telling my members to do, it was an exercise we did last year was using ChatGPT, the voice function. Like if you have the app on your phone, you could talk to it. You just prompt it to say, "Hey, we're gonna role play. You're gonna act as a client, asking tax questions to me. I'm gonna respond to you," and you just go back and forth with the AI, just on your own.
I love
And
that.
it's just a great way to practice how to talk. You get and it's really important and when I keep on saying like get the reps in because you just need these little practices. Spend 5 minutes doing it a day, and I guarantee if you keep on doing it for like a month, you'll see big improvements on how you talk about taxes to clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, practice definitely. I also encourage people to go to Jasmine DeLucci. I don't know if you know her from LinkedIn. She
Hmm.
has a school on SKOOL. So I go on there and I just answer random questions. Just sometimes part of my morning routine. Occasionally I'll
Yeah.
take it and turn it into a social media post. And it's just great practice. It's like
Hmm.
these are real people asking real questions. And I see a lot of new advisors in there just kind of trying it out. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very
Yeah,
commendable.
yeah, and that's a good way to practice too. So if you don't want to like talk yet, you're just kind of, and some people just want to be able to kind of sit and think about what they want to say, right? So typing and responding to those posts on even Facebook groups, like the accounting groups, things like that. I still do it, just to get my practice in. But definitely that is a good way to practice because now you have that little fear of like, what if I'm wrong, right? And that's the pressure that
100%.
you kind of need to keep on doing better, right? And the way I like to say is like, imagine that you're this little dot, draw a circle around that dot. That's your comfort zone, and the only way to break out of that is to do more things outside of your comfort zone. And the goal is to get this little circle to become bigger and bigger because you want your comfort zone to be as big as possible.
Yeah, that is great. That's very good advice. And yeah, I also used to prefer kind of writing as just a modality, being able to think about what I'm going to say. And then eventually I got comfortable enough to just say whatever comes to mind. Also, humility and earnestness, just in terms of I'm not sure, I'll double check, I'll look it up, and I'll get back to you, I'll confirm.
Hmm.
And also, if I get something wrong, it's just like, oh, I didn't know that. I think it took me a while to get to that level of confidence where I'm like, I felt okay not knowing things.
Yeah.
Meaning the also just knowing the benchmark of the field. I don't know
Mhm.
what your experience was at your firm, but did you have a network, colleagues that you kind of compared notes to?
Not really. Everything is just on my own. Like I didn't really have a community. So when I first started, I joined this like tax group but it was just a bunch of, and imagine I was like 25, 26 at the time, and everyone around me was like 50 plus in their careers, and they've been doing it for so long. Their jokes about Social Security doesn't resonate with me, so it's just like, okay, I don't really belong with this group, so I left that group. So definitely, if I had like a younger group that I could rely on and share my thoughts with, I probably would have resonated better. But I definitely did everything on my own, and I wish I had that someone to lean on just to even bounce ideas off of. Like, what do you think about this process or this system, right? Or even like tax stuff. Like, I don't know what recapture depreciation means. Can you help me understand this?
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%. And yeah, I think this in a sense is the golden age of accounting just because there's so just the internet has been great for accountants. I think it matches accountant personality as well. But yeah, the industry has been very skewed to the older side, very institutionalized, and now it's online and everybody's kind of doing something unique and interesting and can do things their way. We're definitely taking that route. And yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's great. It's nice that in a sense that you went your own way. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, but you avoided all the bad habits that everybody learns. Many people work at a firm for a long time and they just carry over all these systems and habits, and they're usually quite bad.
That's very
And
true. That's very like when I was hiring, I noticed that when I did hire, they were bringing over certain things that they learned from other firms that they thought was the right way or the better way. So untraining them and moving them to a new system it has been difficult. So I find that hiring someone that's pretty much fresh into the field was a little easier because they're more trainable. I could teach them my systems instead of the back and forth of fighting of why it won't work and they're rolling their eyes at me. And a lot of the people I hired, they were older than me, so that created a weird dynamic too because I was kind of like their boss, but I was younger than them. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting because you have a very humble personality, but you were a very ambitious mid-20-year-old who had a very successful firm.
Yeah, I
Did
mean,
you have that confidence when I guess you come across confident but humble, or there's a lot of kind of people who don't necessarily take up the whole room, but are very powerful and low-key individuals. Did people give you
I'm
respect
very
of the older generation?
the older generation didn't give me any respect at all. I don't think so. Now they do. So what's funny is that the group that I joined when I was in like 25, 26, um, they asked me to speak recently, like 2 weeks ago, to their group. And I was like, oh shoot, I was here 20 years ago. I was in their shoes. And the way I present is using a lot of visuals, a lot of storytelling and analogies. So they love the way I present it because it's usually not the typical way that presenters come in to present. Usually presenters are like slides with bullet points and a lot of words on their slides. I don't like doing that at all. Mine has a lot of
Oh, did I lose you? Hmm.
Micah, you're still there, right? Because
Oh yeah, I'm still here. So
I can
just
hear you, but
okay, we lost our guest. Let me email him.
yes.
For a second.
Um, let's see. Oh, he's back. Phuc, are you there? Let me send him. He's probably gonna exit and come back in. Okay. Hang tight, everybody. All right, I just sent him the link again. How's everybody else doing?
Doing
Got a good,
pretty good.
good, good to hear. Awesome. Oh, hey, Phuc, you're back. All right, sorry we lost you.
so I think I'm in a co-working space and I'm pretty sure everyone in this co-working space is running some kind of AI model. So it uses all the
I
internet.
was mentioning that to somebody that we're all gonna need like gaming computers soon just to like run
Yeah.
our AIs.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where I left off, but yeah.
Yeah, me neither, but it's all important and helpful. So yes, could you tell us about Level Up Quest? You could even do a demo if you wanted to. Your
Oh, I
call.
don't have a demo ready, but Level Up Quest pretty much is a mentorship program that really started with just creating e-courses, and that's what I really want to do was just create a book because one of the things I did in my firm was make videos that explain taxes. So that way, when a client asks a question, I just had a library of videos and I would just forward them the link to watch the video instead of me repeating myself over and over again.
Was that you
Because
in the video? Was it a video of you, or was
yeah,
it
video
like
of me. Yeah, yeah. A video of
was
me
it Loom
explaining.
or was it
I
just you?
use Loom, mostly Loom. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Because we sometimes you need a visual to help walk the client through. Like, so I would do
totally.
like a
What
little slide or something.
do you have some examples that come to mind?
Let's see.
Or it could be hypothetical. I'm just curious.
If you go
I,
to my old business website, let me look it up real quick.
sure.
Uh,
I always want to do more of that. I have yet to set it up
yeah,
properly.
because what you'll find is that all clients ask the same questions. It's just coming from different people.
Totally. It's one I
Um,
get constantly, which is a good example actually. 1099 versus W-2.
yeah.
Usually they still want to speak to me and get the details out, more just like talk and be
Mhm.
comforted. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
a
this is
classic
my
one.
old one. So this is what I used to share with my clients back then. And there's like different things
Ooh.
explaining certain ones. Um, but then I also have my level up quest one, which is way more updated because all those videos and the one I just shared, those are way old. So I'm not even sure if the content's even relevant anymore.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you had a YouTube channel. So you have, do you put out a lot of content on YouTube?
Um, YouTube, I not as much. A lot of
Okay.
it is just for my courses, like snippets for my courses that I'll do.
Got it.
Yeah, so let me share. I mean, I don't have that many followers on the YouTube one.
Yeah, I got lost, don't worry.
So let me share the level up quest YouTube one. This one is probably going to be more relevant now because um, it's it's a lot of it are like 5 minute clips from my actual courses as kind of like a little teaser to introduce it. And then you'll see how I present because I use visuals, I use infographics as part of it. And the infographics that I am using in the videos are actually available for all my members to use in their own client meeting. Because I found that when I did it with my team, we created a bunch of visuals for the team, and then when they ran their own meetings, they were able to pull up the visuals easily and use it as their guide on what to say. Because accountants tend to overtalk and start going off on tangents. And that's one of my biggest issues with my employees was that they just were just over talking and over explaining that just made things way more complicated. So I just told them, okay, here's a visual. You're going to practice explaining this part of the tax topic, and here are the key points that you're going to hit. And it's listed out on the visual. So as long as you hit all those key points, then you pretty much covered 90% of what the client needs to know.
That's awesome. Yes, I have that instinct in myself. It's more like I'm talking and then I realize a question's coming up and then I'm answering that question. But meanwhile, that person does not have that question, so I'm just confusing them. And I learn each time. Some things are very hard to explain. For example, I was explaining to someone a backdoor Roth, which is
Mhm.
very hard for regular people to understand. It's hard, so it was very hard to explain. And just going through one conversation that was far from ideal will teach also like, oh, these are the things. I mentioned it before, like sometimes I want to teach a concept and I don't realize how many things within that concept I'm taking for granted until I start talking like, wait a sec, I need to back up 5 steps and explain all these different things first. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And that gets complicated with taxes because it's like very intricate and other parts could get pulled into it where you have to explain things like like say going back to the backdoor Roth, you might have to explain how come the tr depositing into a traditional IRA is not a tax deduction when it normally is a tax deduction, right? And you have to get into those nuances. But actually, that was one of the videos I shared a lot with in my previous firm with clients because that was also a common topic. And I just decided I'm just gonna make a video about it. And then if they ask about it, I just share with them the video.
That's very smart, and it's also good
Yeah.
content these days. These days, there's so many things you can do with like one action, and you could use it in many different ways.
Exactly. And it's evergreen, and which is perfect. And I hated explaining it over and over again. And so just the video, I think clients actually appreciated it more. because got all their questions answered, and now they understand it better. Because instead of me rushing through an email, explaining backdoor Roth through an email is really hard. Like I don't think it's enjoyable for anyone to read through that. So making a video is way easier. Have them spend 5, 10 minutes watching a video, and they'll get way more out of it.
Totally. I also, you can tell me if this resonates with you, but I also brush up against people's pride sometimes, and it can get about how I'm describing something. Let's say they have a finance background or something, or even people like medical professionals, engineers, people who just think of themselves as very intelligent and professional, and they are,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily translate to this very complex concept you've never spoken about before.
Mhm.
Did that resonate with you, like brushing up against people's
I
pride in a
did.
sense?
I was intimidated at first when I had like kind of like the doctors and the engineer clients. But I actually turned that into a game for me mentally where so I there's like this running thing with accounts where they hate working with engineers because engineers are so picky and they kind of ask
Oh yeah.
all these questions. They go line by line. So I actually, me coming from Silicon Valley, I'm around all engineers. So that was actually my biggest client base were engineers, startups, um, and I just
Is it
took it as
software
a
engineers
software
primarily?
engineers, yeah. And I just took it as a game. I was like, okay, my goal, my boss right here, the boss level is that I need to make them happy. Like I need to be able to answer every single question. That's the way the game that I played. So I actually didn't mind them asking me questions because that just pushing me to figure out, okay, where are the numbers coming from? I mean, I should know these things. So where is AMT coming from, and how come the AMT is different compared to last year, right? So I should be able to explain that. So I just took it upon me as a game, like I'm just challenging myself. This is just a riddle that I'm going to try to figure out. I just have to do it in front of a client. That's really it.
Yeah, totally. And that makes a lot of sense. I also have experienced that people hate that, where all, these lists of, let's say, 10 different questions after they got the draft of the tax return, when most people are just saying, okay, cool, go ahead. I also enjoyed it in a sense. It was similar to when I worked at larger firms. The process is you have these managers who give you review notes. They all have their own style and systems, which is crazy. But it was also, let's say if they're giving me review notes via email, I just go one by one, step by step. That's also what I tell people in terms of forms and diagnostics, that if you just kind of take a deep breath and start reading, it's
Mhm.
very often intuitive and it's giving you really specific instructions. Except when it tells you refer to line 13 and the line 13
Yeah.
says refer to line 26 plus 27.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, in general, definitely. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute or pop it in the chat. Um, and while we're waiting for that, so what's the cadence of um, Level Up Quest in terms of
Yeah, so
the schedule?
what we do is we have weekly meetings. So it's every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And in these meetings, we do a general Q&A. So if you have any questions about a client, you want to run something by, we'll do a Q&A. And yeah, I rely a lot on my community because I don't know everything. Sometimes I'll have guest speakers that are IRS, like they travel around with the IRS to do speaking engagements about taxes. So sometimes I'll have one guy come on for that. Um, but I do rely heavily on the community to help answer questions. Because, like, for example, I never did resolution or offer and compromise. So there's a couple people in the group that did that so they could answer those questions, right? So um, I'm trying to make it where the community has so much to offer. Just because you're new doesn't mean that you don't have anything to offer. Like if you only have 1 or 2 years of experience, it's fine that if 90% of the things you're bringing are questions, but those questions actually help other members too, because they they might experience the same thing. So it's good that you're bringing it up, right? And then you also could offer little things as well. So the community is great where we do the quick Q&A, but I also do kind of like mini workshops within it as well. So it's not just a Q&A session, but it's a mini workshop where we go through a certain thing. So we started one 3 weeks ago about S corporations on finding the clients that will be a good fit for the S corporation. Once we find a client, how do we talk to the client about it? How do we explain what an S corporation is? How do we explain the tax savings? But also, I think where a lot of accountants stop is that they just say, okay, you're going to be an S corporation, we're going to file the election. But there's so much more we could stack on top of that of when it comes to other tax strategies, not just the election, but we could do maybe Augusta rule, or we could do hiring dependents, or setting up the accountable plan. These are discussions that all go around the S corporation itself that we should tack on top of the discussion with just the election, not just the election itself. So
100%.
that's what we did this in this past 3 weeks, is learning how to develop a framework for clients to understand, how to deliver it, how to explain it, and then pretty much how to implement it. That's going to be the most important thing because we could explain all we want, but if it doesn't get implemented, if clients aren't taking the action, then it's kind of useless, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and then the next one we are doing that's starting this week is going to be around the Kwong case. So this is the new thing where
I've been
if
seeing that everywhere. If you could fill
yeah,
us in.
yeah, any of your clients got a penalty or paid interest or something during 2020 to 2023,
Oh
that's
yeah.
considered the COVID years. So you shouldn't have been been paying, they shouldn't have charged any penalties or interest according
Right. Most
to
people
this
got
case.
refunded that, I thought.
I
There was
I
like a
don't
few rounds of like refunding penalties at different points.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not too sure about I guess it depends. And that's only if you actually actively did the abatement and
right.
everything, right? But there are people who just probably just paid the penalty without really knowing
Sure.
anything.
I
And
know they
I
did
know,
one like in some point in the early 2020s. I know they did like an automatic one. They do them like randomly. It's so bizarre how they go about things, but I'm sure that it might have been very specific. And it's
mhm,
also only if you had penalties. I saw a client sent me a uh, a graphic, really AI slop. Basically, new stimulus check, this and this. The average refund 4,000. I was like, if this is true at all, it's very skewed by somebody out there getting like a multi-hundred thousand refund because most
correct.
people are not paying penalties to begin with, so you're not going to get a
Yeah,
refund.
yeah.
So you have to ask for it basically. They're not doing
Yeah.
it automatically.
Yeah, you have to ask for it. And these are really for big penalties. So for one of my cases that I had a client that received foreign gifts, and when you receive like cash transfers over 100,000, you're supposed to file this form,
Yeah, it's a crazy
and
form.
it's not. It has nothing to do with taxes, right? It doesn't
Right.
increase the taxes. It's just a requirement to file, to report it. That's all it is. Well, it turns out my employee who was handling that filed that late. Um, and the client told us on time. It's just my employee filed it late, and we got hit with a $40,000 penalty because of that. Yeah,
40,000
forty
because
thousand
of
dollars
that.
penalty
And
because
how
of
much
that.
was reported? Was it
It was
based
like
on that?
it's a percentage based off of the transfer. So I think he got like 150 or
Oh,
$200,000
wow. That
in
is a
gifts.
good thing to be aware of. That's
Yes.
insane.
Yeah. So now I tell everyone anything with foreign, like
Yeah.
you need to put it inside your engagement letter. Like you need, if you could avoid it, try to avoid it. But yeah. So in this case, we got hit with a $40,000 penalty that I had to pay for. So now with this, I'm gonna say I'm gonna try to get it back. Even though I don't even know they're not my client anymore, so I don't even know how to
Right.
reach out to them. But
I had that when I left my initial firm. I had like a couple things, the resolutions that were like still happening. And I was like, okay, I'm out. So
mhm.
somebody else's problem now.
Yeah, yes.
That's a nice piece about starting
Yeah.
fresh.
So the Kwong case is supposed to be, so what it is one, I think one federal court said like, okay, this case is legitimate, like you shouldn't be getting hit with any penalties for those years at all. So they won the case, but now the IRS is of course is going to fight it, so it's going to go to the next level. So
Mm,
that's what it's dependent on, is if the IRS is going to win the next level or not. If the IRS
I
doesn't win
see.
the next level, then that means that all the penalties that you're trying to abate will pretty much be easily granted. Um, and the thing is, to get the penalties abated, you have to file the Form 843 by July 10th. So
Got it. Statute of limitations.
that's the magic date. So we even though we don't know what the result is, with the IRS fighting it, we just
Got
want
it.
to file everything by July 10th just to get it inside the system so you qualify. So we don't know if it's going to last a year, 2 years, whatever, how long it lasts, but once it finishes, and if good news happens from that, then everyone who filed on time will pretty much get their penalties abated automatically. And you pretty much just want to put into the system first. So what I'm gonna do for the next 2 or 3 weeks is figure out, okay, how do we find the clients that have these penalties? How do we get the POA and transcripts for all these clients in an easy way? Um, Not only how do we file it, but how do we charge for it? So we're going to explore ideas of, okay, this should be something that we should charge clients for, especially if they didn't know anything about it, and how we're going to market it. So if you want looking to try to find new clients and you want to use this method, how are you going to market it to say, hey, there's possible if you paid penalty in the past, why don't you contact me? Let's see what we could do to help you with getting that back.
That's awesome. Alex has a question. I was just going to mention Tax Now is a software I use. Are you familiar with that one?
No, not
It
is that
it's for
that's it.
transcripts. So and this what I like about it is they have a link you could send to clients instead
Hmm.
of getting a POA signed. And they just fill it out almost kind of like an ID.me type thing, and then it gets
Oh, it's called Tax
loaded.
Now. Let me look at
Yeah, it's
that
not
up.
cheap. It's $200 a month. But I really
Okay.
like it. It's kind of like the Tax Pro account, just a much nicer UI, and it has
Hmm.
that link. They don't have 2848s. They have the other one. I forget the name. The information request
The
one.
information one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But yeah, it's a cool resource. So
Okay,
I'm a
okay.
fan.
Yeah, yeah. I just added that to my list of things to look over when I start building out this workshop.
Awesome. Alex asked, you mentioned that you use more storytelling instead of typical bullet point presentations when communicating. Is that something that came naturally to you, or is that something that you practiced?
So definitely, and we're the way we talk or the way we present things to clients is pretty much how we're trained, right? So I was trained just like through regular IRS and IRS workshops and stuff. So those were always dry, and I fell asleep at. I always fell asleep at those workshops. I hated them. So then when it came to having employees, I found that it was really hard to train them on the technical stuff. They just especially the new ones, they weren't grasping it as well. I could tell them to, okay, and I was guilty of this. My training before was send them out to IRS seminars and expect them to remember everything. They come back being able to apply it all, and realistically, that's not how it works. So I started seeing that, okay, I keep on sending them to seminars and paying for all these webinars that they're joining, but it's not changing anything. I feel like they're still not getting it. So I was thinking, okay, what can I do to make this better? So we started playing games. That's how it started. Like we started just opening the door with Pictionary, like Tax Pictionary, just to get their minds right and like thinking about how to visualize taxes. Um, and then it started moving into infographics, and then I started creating like flow charts and making it more visual. And then that's when it started clicking, and I started seeing better results from them. And then I was thinking, okay, I want them to lead client meetings, but the way they're talking to clients right now is very technical, just the way how IRS talks to you. And I just told them, okay, let's create a visual. Let's see if you could just walk through the visual. And that's what we did. And there's a good site let me look it up. It's called like Napkin Finance. Let me see.
Eh,
Napkin
What do you
Finance.
use these days for infographics?
Right. I used to use Canva to create my own, but that took a long time.
Hmm.
Now AI is helping a lot, but
Which
it's
AI?
like
I tried to create one yesterday on live Zoom with the members, and it's just
you get a
very
lot of AI
busy.
slop, how you
Yeah,
said.
exactly. It was very
Yeah.
busy. I said make less busy, and it did not get it.
Yeah. Sorry, let me see. There's one for taxes. Oh, here.
Napkin finance. Okay,
Okay.
very cool.
Here. Do this one right here. And this is how I started. This got me the idea of using visuals, right? And use
Oh,
this
wow.
and just explain it. Like it's way easier to explain a visual to a client than to try to go off the top of your head to explain it, right? So like the first one I see here is Roth IRAs. If you could explain this visual to a client and walk them through what it means, but just by using this outline, it makes things so much easier for you to comprehend it yourself,
Yeah,
but also for clients to understand it, which is the most important part. Yeah, so it
that's
it
great.
it didn't come naturally because I wasn't trained that way. I was trained just like everyone else through IRS publications, through IRS websites, webinars, and they're trained the same way, 20 years before that. So I wanted to break the mold and change it for my employees because my goal was to get my employees to grow and be better in their career. And I found that this was the easiest way. But not everyone's a visual learner. I think most people are, but not everyone is. So that's where I think it just depends on what type of learner you are. Like I had one employee who just loved looking at Excel sheets. Like that's how he developed and that's how he would framework his order is through Excel sheets. So I had to cater towards to that sometimes too.
That's very cool. Yeah, and it's definitely I try and do that also. Think about how people um the word learning styles went out of vogue, but how people really enjoy learning. It is because when
Mhm.
people can enjoy it or engage with it, they'll get a lot more out of it. There's an app I use called Speechify, which highlights the words as it's reading to
Oh yeah.
you. I really enjoy it. So, but it's just like I always have subtitles on also when I'm watching
Mhm.
shows. It's kind of like using multiple senses to
Yeah.
take in information.
Yeah.
What do you use now for your infographics? Which AI?
So I played around with was it the Google Notebook LM? I think that's the
Oh
main
yeah, I
one
like that
that I
one. Oh
use.
yeah, I should. Yeah, yeah, I like that one. I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
revisit that.
Uh, so that one I've been using, and I use it mainly as a guide to get me to create my own. Eventually, I do
How do
just
you
create
create
my
your own?
own
Like a
through
what
Canva.
do you? Canva.
Yeah. So Canva will have their own templates, which I like because it's more simple. The way Google LM does it is just, or Notebook LM is, it's like the AI slop. It's just a bunch of
Yeah,
information all
it's
at
so
once, and
much.
it's too
The
hard to
show
follow.
offs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the style, like even with this napkin finance one, I like their
Hmm.
style. So that's
Yeah,
what I
I
try to
agree.
kind of create, is through that. Even though mine's a little longer, mine's like typical like legal size paper size, because it goes through a lot of the different flows and what if this and what if that. Yeah,
That's awesome. Any other questions from the esteemed peanut gallery?
yeah. But definitely practice the visual part. Draw your
Yeah.
own. I mean, if you're able to do like a whiteboard on Zoom, and just do like a Pictionary game or something, just to
Yeah, how'd you do that Pictionary game? You
yeah,
drew. How do you
we
draw
just need to break
depreciation?
through. We just need to break through that like barrier that we might have because we don't know what we don't know, right? And I actually went as far as going we played charades at the office for taxes,
That's
and
awesome. Maybe I'll
and I
switch my
think
Monday session to this. This sounds
it's
great.
it's a good way just to get the creative mind thinking, like thinking it differently on how to explain something. I mean, imagine charades and the word is Schedule A, like
Is charades the one where you acted out?
yeah, where you act it out, and it's like you have to act out a Schedule A. How do you do that? You know, so,
That's good. Just
yeah,
go like this.
yeah, exactly.
That's great. All right, final call for questions, and then we're gonna wrap up in a second, guys. Um, so how did, I guess when you got into that education piece, how long did it take you to kind of get your rhythm, and how did you start?
When I had the firm itself.
No, from you. So you sold the firm, and then
Uh,
you decided you wanted to pursue more education,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then what was your
So
next moves?
it took about a year for me to create Level Up Quest. So after I sold, because I was still in the transition period, I think what helped was that so the firm that bought me out had a lot of outsourcing people. So they wanted me to train their outsourcing people. So that kind of started the ball rolling of me training them and trying to figure out how do I make it fun for, especially remote. Like we're doing everything through Zoom. So how do I make it enjoyable for them to learn through Zoom? So that's kind of started it and created that part of how do I explain taxes to them so they could learn how to do it. And then it just kind of went into me making videos and figuring out, okay, everything that I did for my own firm, I'm just gonna recreate it and do it for Level Up Quests and create it for more tax professionals, not just for my own firm. So pretty much a lot of the videos I made for clients with my old firm, I just redid it again for Level Up Quest.
Did you
Um,
enjoy it from the get-go, or did it
I
take
did.
time
I
to kind of
do
get
like
it?
making videos, and that was my whole intent was only to make CPE courses. Like I, the whole mentorship thing wasn't even on my mind because it's not scalable. So I just wanted to make courses. I have fun making videos. I like editing videos, and I like the swooping and all the little icons popping up titles. So I always edited those out, those on my videos.
What do you use for that one? For
CapCut.
just CapCut? Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I've
I
heard.
use CapCut to edit my videos. I did use Final Cut Pro, but is CapCut has way more features that cost less.
Yeah, it's like the
So
Canva for videos these days.
yeah, it makes it easier. So and one thing, if you are like with Rosie, if you look at her videos, like her edits are actually really good. So,
Well, you may not know her husband is does that. So she's got a meaning he does
oh, she,
the video piece.
oh, really? Oh,
She's the
lucky,
actress and the firm
lucky,
owner, but her husband's the videographer.
lucky. Right.
Um,
That's really good. That's so good to have because,
yeah, so if
um,
people
it,
like try and take a selfie and imitate Rosie, it's not going to quite come out as good,
okay.
but if it still
Yeah.
go for the
Yeah.
style is very
Yeah.
good.
But Rosie
Clear,
is really
confident,
good.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah, really good. And what I notice are the cuts that she does. So I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure that you got to be perfect for the full 3 minutes of talking about taxes, which it's really hard. You're going to keep on retaking it over and over again, which is not good for you. It's going to cause a lot of stress, and you're putting too much pressure on yourself. So even for me, when I make videos, I'm just saying 2 or 3 sentences. I pause, sit, and then I
Oh,
might
that's
have to repeat it
fascinating. I
over and
didn't know
over
that.
again. So, and then I just pick which one looks the best. And then you just cut out the
That is
other ones.
cool.
Yeah. And if you learn how to do that on your video editing, it's really easy on how to cut things out. And it's perfectly fine. No one really notices the cuts.
Right. And yeah, it's funny when I just learned about the concept of cuts and then I started paying attention. I'm like, oh, everyone's doing this all the time. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's really and it takes way, as long as you get to say 2 sentences at a time, you're good. And just do that. And then, naturally you'll start having more sentences as you get more comfortable in front of the camera. But just knowing that you don't have to be perfect for the full 3 minutes. I still have members that makes videos. So I have one member named Gia. She's doing it in one take. And I know for sure that there's no way she's doing it once. Like she's doing it multiple times because you make one mistake, you say one you feel it's imperfect, it's not perfect enough, so then you start all over, which is not good, like as
right. They
in
have AI edits
mentally
on the
draining.
ums. You
They
could just
do,
AI
yeah,
add out the
yeah,
ums and then you can never watch it.
yeah, exactly.
I broke through the discomfort of watching myself
Hmm.
eventually. Now I really enjoy it, in a narcissistic way. But before I was like, couldn't watch it. I was just like, oh boy, this is way too uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And like everything else, you get used to it. Did you have
Yeah,
that at
yeah.
first?
I try to make it perfect, and then the ums. Well, because I guess maybe accountants are have that thing in the back of their head, like everything has to be perfect. They have to say it right every single time. So I had that kind of lingering on me, but over time, I just got comfortable with now I'm trying to do it where I'm just speaking like how I am right now, just speaking like just it doesn't have to be perfect anymore. Just speak, make it natural, and that actually comes out a lot more effective too.
I agree. And I also think you have to go through that phase of like not totally neurotic, but like it's almost like once you go through that phase and
Yeah.
perfect it, then you're like, oh, okay, I actually have this down and I can
Hmm.
just wing it.
Yeah.
Totally. Thank you so much. This is all incredible. Members can please check out Level Up Quest. If you feel ready, you could hop in and otherwise post credential, absolutely. And all the content. Um, anything you want to leave us off with?
Well, let me put my LinkedIn and my
Yeah,
Facebook in the chat. Let me get that out
please.
real quick. That because I post a lot of stuff on there too. So let me see what is my LinkedIn.
And you had a webinar. I remember during tax season. I wanted to go, but um, beyond slammed. But do you do that every so often
The webinar I do workshops as well. So like
for the open
the
public, not just your members?
that one is for public too. Yeah, yeah. So that was open to the public where it was how to get more 5-star Google reviews.
That's right.
I did that one, and then I did how to create a 5-star client experience. So it's not all about taxes. It's also about how do you run a firm
Yeah,
that's more effective. My goal is to run a firm where you it's not so reliant on the business owner
right.
as well. Yeah. So LinkedIn, Facebook, I post more. I mean I cross post on everything. So you could either add it on. But I think Facebook is where I'm the most engaged in because that's where I find a lot more of the accounting people
Yeah, I
that
gotta
come
get
on
on
there.
Facebook. Do you go in like specific groups? I like
Yeah, I'm
don't
joined
know how
in
to
all
use
the
it
tax
now,
group.
post high
Yeah,
school. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I joined in all the groups now. So all the tax groups. So there's like NATP.
Yes, I gotta
Um,
get in on those.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you
So
check them out like regularly?
I do check it out because I answer questions on there, just like how you said you go into the
Yeah.
forums. Yeah. I'll go on there and answer questions as well.
Do you do that like as a routine or just whenever you get a chance?
It's a routine, so I try to allocate at least half a day and just browsing through it.
Oh,
If
that's a
something,
significant amount.
yeah, yeah. That part is quite an investment because one, I'm just trying to also promote level up quests through that,
Totally.
and I'm not trying to do it where it's like I don't post on a group about level up quests. It's more like
Right.
someone says, "Hey, I need help on mentorship. I don't have anyone." Then I'll just write comments on there and tell them
Totally. Yes, that's the
what
way
I
to do it.
do.
I did the other way and I got kicked out of so much because
Yeah,
they're all
yeah,
anti-solicitation. So I got to be very
yeah,
smooth. I learned
yeah.
even the nice ones are wary, reasonably so.
Hmm.
That's awesome. So yeah, I definitely encourage everybody to follow Phuc on your favorite social media site and check it out. I'm definitely going to check out a lot of your videos. I need some inspiration. We're
Yeah.
developing the business curriculum, so definitely. And I hope to speak soon. I know our mutual friend Larry Pond also, he was also like
Oh yeah.
he
Yeah,
found me through the
he's the
forums
one that
actually.
introduced us. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he's the one that
yeah.
introduced us. So he's the one that joins in on my weekly meetings sometimes. So he's joining on this week to talk
That's
about
awesome. Is he like
the quant case.
almost like on your staff or he just comes
No, he just
occasionally?
comes, so I connected with Larry maybe a year and a half ago, and he liked what I was doing. And he's in the same area as I am, so he's like one city away from me. So we met up, we went to a baseball game, and then he would introduce me to a lot of other people. He got me on TV, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's one of those guys.
yeah.
I really enjoyed speaking to him. He reached out to me. He saw me posting about the apprenticeship on one of the forums.
Mhm.
He's also like me. He's got a foot in both the financial planning world and the
Oh yeah, yeah,
tax
yeah.
world. Um, and yeah, he's one of those guys who enjoys helping people, making
He
connections,
does. Yeah,
building
yeah.
the industry, which he's a believer in. Um,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So he's been
that's
very
great.
helpful for this group as well. I do want to bring him on more, but he's so busy because he does so many speaking engagements. So
Right.
I definitely want him to bring him on because I know he likes speaking. That's what he
Yes.
loves to do is like speaking. So trying to bring him on to do more speaking stuff for Level Up Quest as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll make the industry, we'll revitalize it.
Yeah, that's what I want. I definitely want to make it more enjoyable for everyone who's learning about it. And how do we make it more fun? Like, how do we gamify it? And that's always kind of been my thing. I saw on your site you did the code names for taxes. I thought that was
Yeah,
creative.
I have to fix that one. But yeah, that was when I got into Lovable. I fell off of my AI experimenting since then. But yeah, that
Hmm.
was very fun just to create and see that it worked. I was like, well, that's fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It needs some work before it could be like awesome. But yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But
There's a
but
lot of cool
definitely that's
things
a
like
start,
that.
right? That's
Yeah,
that's
totally.
that's where it starts, and then but it does take a lot of time. So anyone on here who's still playing around with AI, like okay, I'm able to do it almost full time, like play around, like I'm creating a bunch of stuff with AI. But if I was running a firm or had a full-time job, there's no way I could do it. Like,
Totally. And that's
yeah.
what I try and tell some of the AI evangelists that like it's really good, but the productivity increases are not there yet for the most part.
Hmm.
And it's all about kind of learning now. And they also don't
Yeah.
understand where most people are, which is just a state of FOMO and not interested.
Hmm.
And resentment because it's attacking you everywhere. Any service you try and engage in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you could, allocate, see, you have to allocate like I feel like 2 hours a day minimum to at least for it to be effective. If you're just playing
Right.
around with it once a week for like maybe only an hour, it's not enough to really dive deep into what AI could do. You really need to invest into it, and that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm trying to do for my members. Is that I'm the one doing all the AI work and trying to share it with them. Like I created a reasonable comp report builder. So instead of paying
Ooh,
another firm like $300 for reasonable comp
yeah,
report, I built one. I used the same data that they're pulling
that's
from,
amazing.
and I just built it all. I mean, it took me 2 weeks to build it, like literally, probably over 25 hours for sure, to build it. But definitely, that's something I could provide to my members. And if they don't have to pay for it,
Amazing.
then I mean, to me, it's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. We I just brought on Rebecca Driscoll. I don't know if you know her from LinkedIn. She has the collaboration room, which is a accounting network group.
Mm,
She's going to do an AI session. And yeah, she was showing me some of the, she had one about client rating, just showing the things she was making with Claude. And
yeah.
yeah, I think it's more just about understanding the possibilities than like using it for productivity gains
Hmm.
and research is
Yeah,
incredible,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you folks so much. I hope to be in touch soon.
Yes.
We could catch up. But
Yeah.
this was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all
Thank
your
you,
wisdom.
Micah. Thank you, Rosie, for inviting me as well.
Thank you, Rosie. Hooked it up.
Okay. Bye,
All
guys.
right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.